Object-Oriented Programming class for the spring semester. I'm really excited to be teaching you and walking you through different intermediate level concepts in C++ programming. So let's take a look at the syllabus. So the course is for 2 credits and the title is Object-Oriented Programming. The course number is ENGRUH 2510, and the course is a intermediate level programming course that focuses on object-oriented programming using C++. The topics we'll be covering are on classes, objects, including constructors, member functions, data members, pointers, dynamic memory allocation, recursion, inheritance, polymorphism, and compiling with makefiles, memory management, exceptions handling. And this might sound like a lot of words and a lot of jargon, but what I always like to do when I'm learning something new is take a look at the description of the course or even a book that I'm reading and try to remember this feeling where I see all these words, they're very unfamiliar, but I'm in a few weeks I'm actually going to be able to understand all these concepts. And so what you should definitely do is look at this, and you may not know many of these concepts, but then come back in 7 weeks and revisit it and say, oh yeah, I know all these things. I can't believe it was so unfamiliar to me 7 weeks ago. So that's at a high level the keywords in the course. In terms of what this course counts towards, if you're in computer engineering, it's a required course. If you're in electrical engineering, it's an elective. And if you're from another major, it may count towards a requirement, but I don't remember all the requirements fully across all engineering majors. And the prerequisite to the course is Engineer UH 1000, which is computer programming for engineers. So in that course, or some equivalent to it, you should have learned some basic concepts of programming and hopefully programming in C++. So I should introduce myself. I'm your professor for the 6-7 weeks of this course, and my name is Tukal Hanai. I am a assistant professor, emerging scholar in electrical and computer engineering. I started about a year ago, and I'm very excited to be teaching this class. My background's in computer science and electrical engineering, so my undergrad was in electrical engineering and my graduate studies was in both electrical engineering and computer science. And I run a lab at the university. It's the Laboratory for Computer-Human Intelligence, where we use human signals to try to understand something about humans, and we apply machine learning in that domain. So it could be for healthcare, it could be for people management, it could be for understanding speech and language. So that's my background and experiences. And joining me in this course, we have 2 very, very talented people. They are Mohammed Hassan Jamil and Prince Stephen Anor. They'll be helping with a lot of the lab components. They're going to be your main touch points for all the lab sessions that you're going to be having. And if you have any questions at any time, please reach out to me or to the lab instructors. You can contact us by email, and we'll be very responsive. So the schedule for the class is, so the lectures are scheduled at Tuesday and Thursday, 10:25 to 11:40, and the lab is scheduled on Tuesday from 2:40 to 5:20. They'll both be online. The lectures are going to be asynchronous, so all the content's going to be recorded in advance so that you can consume it at your pace. So I know some people like to repeat videos often. I do that whenever I'm learning something new, and others like to skim through it at 2x speed. So this class is designed so that you can, at those 2 formal class times of the lectures, you can consume the content. And I'm going to assume that you're going to review the class content within those times because they're already allocated for the class. And I'll also be scheduling another time with you all that works. which is optional, but for us to touch base, and if there's any questions, I can in real time and very dynamically answer it, and we can have a discussion about things rather than me just lecturing to you for just 2 hours. So also in addition to the lab sessions, I'll leave it to Hassan and Prince to schedule times with you if you need more time to understand and comprehend the material that we're going to be covering. So in terms of course learning outcomes and how it links to program learning outcomes, there's four learning outcomes that you'll hopefully be achieving by the end of this course or through this course. One is the ability to identify and describe fundamental elements of object-oriented programming. The second is the ability to apply principles of object-oriented programming using C++ to solve engineering problems. The third is the ability to experiment with different design solutions through iterative programming and real-time feedback as you compile and run code. And the fourth is the ability to communicate technical concepts in written form. So this course isn't just about programming and getting practice of programming and understanding concepts in C++ and object-oriented programming, but it's also very much about relaying your thought process and communicating your solution in written form, and you'll see that throughout the assignments and the project as well. Course textbooks, there are two optional textbooks. There are two optional textbooks, one by the author himself, Bjorn Strustrup, Programming Principles and Practice Using C++, the second being Thinking in C++. You're free to look into these or any other books that you think would be interesting. What I've worked really hard to do is to synthesize all the information you need and all the concepts that we'll be covering into a single centralized location, which you'll be getting access to. So you shouldn't really need to refer to any external references. The internet, of course, has a lot of guidance out there. In terms of teaching methodologies, the course is designed around conveying key concepts of object-oriented programming in presentation format. So it's very much about you consuming content. The lectures have homework assignments associated with them to make sure that you understand things comprehensively and you get practice in the concepts that were taught. The lab component and the lab sessions are meant to provide practical hands-on experience, and you'll have the opportunity to get live feedback from Hassan and Prince. And there's a course project, and it's intended to ensure that you synthesize and combine all the concepts that you've learned throughout the course into a single program, a single code base, and a single project, and you communicate your thought process and your design. And the project's very much designed to touch on real-world engineering challenges, so it's a great opportunity for you to apply the knowledge that you have and that you've learned into tackling real-world engineering problems. So we have the course schedule. Very briefly, it's over 7 weeks. The first week is Intro to C++ Programming. The second is Intermediate Functions. Third week is Classes and Objects. Then it's followed by Class Templates and Standard Template Library. Then Friendship, Inheritance, and Polymorphism. Week 6 is about is to do with certain optimizations in programming. And the final week is about reviewing and coalescing or condensing all the information you've learned over the past 6 weeks. Each week has a homework and lab assignment. Towards the end of the course, in the last couple of weeks, there's slightly less homework assignments. That's because there's a project, so you should definitely be focusing on the project. And you'll probably be focusing on the project a lot more during the last few weeks because we've covered most of the course material. Grades. The grades are distributed across 4 components. The first one being homework assignments, so there are 5 homework assignments throughout the course. Each one has equal weight. There's 7 lab assignments, each one also have equal weight. there is a final project, and there's a grade for participation. What you'll notice is that there's no exam component, and that's because learning object-oriented programming is very much about practice and putting in the hours into working with different learned concepts. And in order to do that, ensure that you're maximizing your interaction with the programming. We've designed the homework and the lab assignments and the project around that. So you're very much going to be immersed in solving different problems through code and communicating your thought process and solution. So the homework assignments are worth 40%, the lab is worth 25%, the project's worth 25%, and participation 10%. And think of participation as very much encouraging you to start looking into the work early, asking questions early, being very engaged and active in a proactive way. Ultimately, we're here to help you, and we can best help you if we can figure things out and anticipate things in advance. So I very much encourage you to try to maximize being proactive about things. Academic policies, these are very standard. The first one's about attendance. You should be attending all the lab sessions. You should definitely be engaging with us. If you need to be absent for whatever reason, please let us know. Please inform us, and we'll try to accommodate that. Participation, I mentioned that. Grade distribution, pretty much if you score 90 or above, it's an A. If you score 80 to 90, it's a B. 70 to 80 is a C. Hopefully we don't need to go over the D's and the F's, but D is 50 to 70, and F is less than 50. We very, very much want you to master this course, and we really want, our aim is for you to be operating at the A level. Integrity is an extremely important concept at NYU AD. We care about it deeply. So the philosophy is that if all of us work with honesty and integrity, we're ultimately respecting ourselves and respecting others, and in the long run, that's the optimal way to be operating. There's different. There's a code of conduct and different rules for different kinds of violations, but I just want to encourage you to, if you're going to be working with each other, that's fine. Please let us know. And when you do work, please don't plagiarize or copy without referencing, and doing your due diligence when it comes to the different tasks. There's also the NYU Moses Center for the Students with Disabilities. If for any reason you'd like to contact them, please do so. They're easily reachable. And that's it for the syllabus. Just the final part is the program learning outcomes. It's just the appendix, and it goes into more details over the different engineering project, different engineering program learning outcomes.